Hello, welcome to Quizcom Forms app training video. In this video, we will demonstrate how to work with the Quizcom Forms app to build a dynamic form in SharePoint. For our demo today, we will build a travel booking app. This app will allow an employee to request travel, a manager to approve it, and a travel team to track if the travel was booked as requested. We will use this demo to show you how to hide and disable columns in different views, including the Quick Edit view, and create conditions on which the columns will be hidden or disabled. We will demonstrate both conditions based on who the current user is and on the values in other columns. We start by creating a new app. This will be a regular SharePoint custom list. We'll name it Travel Requests. Once the app is created, we'll open it and start adding some columns to it. We will be adding the columns that are needed in the travel request list. The first one will be traveling employees. This will be a personal group column that will be required and will allow multiple selections. This will allow the user to specify who are the employees who will be traveling, who will be included in this request. The next column we'll be creating is the travel start date. This will be a date time field asking the user what time do they want to travel. Next, we'll create travel end date or travel return date, which is another date field. Next is the travel from field, asking the user which city is the travel from. This will be a lookup to our cities list that we have created previously. Next column is our destination city, and this will be again a lookup to the same cities list. This allows the user to select both the destination and the origin of the travel. The next column we create is the preferred hotel chain column. This will be a choice list, allowing the user to choose if they have a preferred hotel chain, or maybe specify a choice of their own if they can't find on the list the hotel they like. Next is the question to the user if they have any special dietary requirements. We'll make that a yes/no question with the default no. Our next column will actually ask the user what are the dietary requirements that they have. This will be multiple lines text, allowing them to freely enter any kind of dietary requirement they may have. Now we have created all the columns that are meant for the initial user, for the traveling user making the request. Now it's time to make the other columns. The next column is the approved by. This column is for a manager or a delegate manager to specify who approved the travel. This will be a person or group field and will be a selection of a single person. The following columns will be for the travel team. The first one will be whether or not tickets have been ordered. This will be a yes/no column with a default to no. Next column for the travel team, whether or not the hotel was booked. Again, a yes/no column with a default of no. Finally, we will add the last column. This will be an indicator for the travel team to specify if the itinerary was issued to the user. This again will be a yes/no column with a default of no. And now we can see our finalized form. This form was built nothing but out-of-box SharePoint. The user can specify a reason for the travel, which employees will be traveling, the traveling start date and end date, where they'll be traveling from, what's their destination, and any culinary requirements they may have. This is where the form would normally stop for a regular user. At this point, a manager would have to come in and approve, and the travel team would have to tick the boxes. But as you can see, all of these are available for the regular user. Our first task would be to change that. First, we need to go to the Quizcom app settings. To achieve that, we go to the List tab and click on the Quizcom Forms icon. In the QuizCom Forms settings, we choose Dynamic Columns Permissions. In the screen that opens, we are now able to choose a column, for example, approved by, add a new rule for the column, for example, to hide it in the new item form. We repeat the process for the other columns that we don't want displayed to the user who's entering the initial request. We choose Hotels Ordered, we click New Rule, we select the new item form, and we say that we want to hide it. We do that again for the itinerary issued to traveling employee column, New Form, Hide, Apply. Notice that as we add the rules are added at the bottom to the section called All Rules, where they are written in plain English with options to remove them or to edit the rules. We will get to that later. When we are done, we save the settings and we go back to our list. Now, when the user creates a new item, the only columns displayed are the columns that are supposed to be for a new request. This allows the user to specify who are the traveling employees, the dates, but not have any option to set the approval or any of the fields that are meant for the travel team. So we've just seen how to hide columns from initial submission. But how do we hide columns based on who the user is? As you can see, if we go into the edit form, any user editing the item can set who approved the travel plus the columns that are reserved for the travel team. We need to change that so only managers can set the approved by field and only members of the travel team can set the other three columns. To achieve our goal, we'll go back into QuizCom Forms app settings. We'll go into Dynamic Column Permission settings, and we will configure the three columns that are meant only for the travel team to only be displayed to members of the travel team. We'll pick the first column, Hotel Ordered. We'll pick that it will affect the edit item form. It will hide the column if the user is not in the travel team. We do the same thing for itinerary issued to traveling employees. New rule, edit form, hide when current user is not in the travel team. And we repeat it one last time for the third column, tickets have been ordered. New rule, edit form, hide when current user is not in travel team. Now we also want to apply a similar rule for when the user is not a member of the manager team, they cannot set the approved by column. Select the approved by, add a new rule for edit item form, disable it when current user is not in travel approving managers. So now we have our rules in place. Let's see how they affect the list. We go back to our list. We edit the item that we added before. And this time you can see that approved by is visible but disabled. The user cannot type in, and the other three columns are not there. If we want to test our rules, we'll need to add our current user to the specified security groups. We can go to Site Settings, People and Groups, and select the group we want, the Travel Approving Manager group, to include our current user, which is called QuizCom Support. So now our current user is a Travel Approving Manager, which means that user can go in and edit the item and fill in the column approved by, which is no longer disabled. But even though the user is an approval manager, because they're not part of the travel team, they're not able to see the next bit of the workflow. So let's just add that user to the traveling team. Go to the travel team security group, add the current user. We go back to our list item. And now when we edit it, the necessary columns are available. So now that we've seen that we can hide columns from initial submission and that we can disable columns based on who the user is, let's hide or display columns based on the values in other columns to make truly dynamic forms. We will go back into the QuizCon Forms app setting, we'll go back into dynamic column permissions, and we'll create a new condition. We can edit the rules that are already set for a column by clicking the edit icon next to a list of rules. In this case, on hotel ordered, we'll say we want to hide hotel ordered from the edit item if approved by is empty. Basically, if the manager did not approve, the travel team are not allowed to book the tickets or the hotel. We'll repeat the same process for the other two columns, itinerary issued and tickets have been ordered. We click on edit next to each one of them, add a new rule, apply that rule to the edit form. We say that we hide this column when the approved by is empty. This way, members of the travel team will not have the option to order travel until the manager has approved it. Finally, let's add another rule for the culinary requirements column. We do not want this column to be visible both in new item and edit item column on the condition that do you have any culinary requirements is set to no. This way the user will only see that column if they specify that they do have any requirements. Now that we have made these rules, we can go back to our list and test them. We go back into editing our item. We can see that the culinary requirements box is missing until the user clicks they do have any special requirements. We can see that if the approved by is empty, the user cannot order the tickets or the hotel or issue the itinerary. But if we fill it in, they become available instantly. In this demo, we've seen how to hide columns from initial submission, how to disable columns based on who the user is, and hide display columns based on the values in other columns. In our next video, we will show you how to configure advanced field validation rules. These rules will help us prevent the user from submitting the form when it's not valid. Thank you for watching the QuizCon Forms app training video.